Hi everyone. So I prepared for you a topic of mastering summarization techniques, practical exploration with large language models. This talk will be mainly about summarization, but I think it's applicable not only to summarization, but to many different NLP tasks. And using summarization, I want to basically show you our story, how we first deployed our model into production using large language models. I would like to start this talk with the hype around large language models. I suppose that all of you here saw it, know about it. You all know that everyone is talking about it. Yesterday, 2 days ago, OpenAI had a big keynote presentation during which they presented a lot of new stuff that is happening. And so there is super big hype around it, but when it comes to the actual usage, is it actually that easy to use it? Can we just connect something, some API to our text and get summaries, get topics, get, I don't know, sentiment, get whatever we want? We've actually started using large language models like almost 2 years ago. We started with GPT, and we wanted to get summaries. This was our first, one of the first examples that we get as a summary. That was a summary of this is a recipe how to make scrambled eggs. But we didn't feed this document to GPT. We had some feedback documents. Some of our customers had some problem, and we wanted to summarize the document. But GPT generated this summary. There are many other problems with large language model generally. Here I grouped them into 2 categories or 2 fields from the data science point of view. So basically about the quality of the results. Still, I think it's better than it was, I don't know, a year or 2 years ago, but still it's unclear how to get the best summaries, how to achieve the best results when you use these models. There are many different models that you can use. It's not that straightforward to know which model is the best for which use case, and so on and so on. The other type of problems, it's related to the ML engineering. For that, I just wanted to show you what happened like 2 or 3 hours ago. There was a big outage of OpenAI. It was for 1.5 hours. The OpenAI APIs for both ChatGPT, GPT-4, and so on wasn't working at all. And this affected all our services. We have like 5 different models in productions. And this is, for example, what we were getting. This is just like some internal dashboard that we have. And I'm showing you some examples of errors that we were getting and that we were basically not able to generate these predictions into our in our production. Back to the presentation. Another problem that's in this era is that these models are constantly changing and evolving. Some people are telling you that you have to deploy your own open source model and use it in your own infrastructure, even though it's, for example, not the case for you, because these models can, if you use OpenAI, it's cheap. So you have to think of it from these point of views. So this was about the hype. Now with the summarization, I would like to tell you basically how we are using GPT for summarization and for other tasks in Productboard. I want to show it on an example. This is a feedback document from OpenAI community forum. Someone is having problem with OpenAI website. And when we just easily ask GPT to generate a summary, we just say, GPT, summarize this. This is the summary that we get. It's not optimal because it's in first person and so on. But when we just like simply work with the prompt, we ask in a better way, we received much better summary, it's more concise, it's in a third person, and so on. By the way, can you hear me well? I'm not sure if, yeah, cool. So I would like to mention a few steps what helped us when using GPT. I will not be covering all of them. This would be like a separate topic for like complete talk, but I just want to mention the 2 most important things that helped us. And that's basically processing and cleaning of the text that we are feeding into GPT. the GPT itself, it doesn't require text in a human readable form. So what you can do is you can clean the data, process it, remove all system text. You can also do some n-gram filtering, remove some n-grams that are either occurring quite often or not that often, and so on. Or you can apply some more advanced methods. You can, for example, when you are facing some multi-document summarization, when you want to, let's say that you want to summarize thousands of documents and generate one summary for all these documents, you can, for example, select the most salient sentences by some approaches and generate summaries only for those sentences. So that was the one thing that helped us, but the second thing, and the thing that really helped us the most while achieving good summaries, but not only summaries, with any prediction that we are generating, and it was prompting. I think that this is like quite known fact that prompting is really important, and I just want to quickly summarize how we actually prompting GPT. It is really important to give it the context. So basically tell GPT why you are actually asking it to do some things and who should be the person who will be reading this output, how it should look like, and so on. So give it a really clear definition, what you want it to happen, what you want it to generate, and what you don't want it to generate. You can also use some quotes to separate instructions, for example, and input. And if you can also try some future prompting to give it some examples, for example, in this case with summarization, to give it some examples of good summaries. This is just an example of what we use in production for generation of some summaries. Here you see that we are telling it, you are an assistant helping product managers summarize feedback from various customers. So this is the context. People that are usually reading our summaries are product managers in different companies. So this should help GPT to know how the output should look like. And you can also give specific instruction. Here, this is like quite a short list, but you can have like really tens of different instructions. Here, in this case, we are telling it that the output shouldn't be in bullet points, ordered list, and only maximum 2 sentences. So this is basically the idea. So now you kind of know what you can use to generate good summaries. Let's say that you have those summaries, and let's say that you have a system that is generating tens of thousands of summaries daily. Can you somehow assess the quality? Can you somehow know which summaries are good, which summaries you don't want to show to customers? For that, there are many different methods how you can achieve it. Here I prepared a brief list of these methods. The first group of method is called reference-based evaluation. The goal of this method is basically that you generate the summary using the AI method. So in this case, we use GPT to generate summaries. Then we ask some human to actually read this document and generate a summary. And then we basically compare those 2 summaries. And based on the similarity, we measure how the summary generated by AI, how good it is. Another set of methods is pseudo-reference-based evaluation. The idea here is similar, but in this case, you don't have to ask some human to generate a summary. What you do is that you generate the reference summary automatically. So you can generate, for example, this reference summary by taking the most important sentences, the most salient sentences in the document, and then compare basically those artificially created summaries. The advantage of it is that it doesn't require any input from humans, but it's not that precise. The last set of methods is annotation-based evaluation. The idea is that you generate the summaries, and then you read those summaries, you read the input document, and you validate the quality. So you basically assess the quality by some labels, and in the end, you know that you, for example, have labels that the summaries can be good, okay, or bad, and in the end, you know that you generate those summaries for 100 examples, you read them and validate and evaluate them, and you can, in the end, when you submit, to know what is the quality. I will just briefly name some examples of these methods. So the first ones from the reference-based evaluation, there are methods called BLEU and ROUGE. These are quite simple methods. They exist like 20 or 30 years, I think. And here the idea is that you basically compare the number of matching words. So you take the words in the reference summary, you take the words in the summary generated by GPT, and you take the number of matching words, so number of same words, and you divided it either by number of words in the reference summary or the number of words in the machine-generated summary. So these are kind of like the recall or precision of summary. As you can probably imagine, these methods are quite simple. It can only match if the words are matching, and if there is some like semantic similarity, it cannot match it. So it's like the usage is quite limited. On the other hand, we have some other method called BERTscore, for example. The idea of this method is that it uses embeddings, and then it compares the similarity of those embeddings. The advantage of these methods is that it's more precise, the results are better, but it's more time consuming, and it might take longer to actually generate those similarities and to get overall the quality of the summary. From the pseudo-reference-based evaluation, what we can do is that you somehow can find these important sentences in the input document, and using that you can generate the reference summary. So you can use, I don't know, you can either randomly select the important sentences, you can use text rank, basically whatever method that can find you some important part of the document, and then compare this important part of the document with the summary that you generated, and use it as the quality of the summary. As you can probably imagine, this is like not precise, but the advantage is that it doesn't require any human input, and you can use this to assess quality of thousands of summaries. So that was about the methods. This is again area for like completely whole presentation, so I just briefly describe some of the methods. And this I was mentioning it for summaries, but I think this is applicable for almost any NLP task when you want to validate some qualities of some NLP predictions. What we use in Productboard, we actually use a combination of the second and third method. We use the third method, the last method, in a case in which we want to get quality of, when we want to assess quality of a new prompt. So let's say that we want to test a new prompt, we have a new variant, and for that we use the third variant. We generate results based on the new prompt, and we read actually those summaries, we compare them with the input document, and we label it, and then we have some number in the end, and we can compare it with the current result that is, for example, in production, and replace the new prompt if these results are better. The second method we use is in production when we want to assess the quality of thousands of summaries. So we generate, I don't know, tens of thousands summaries daily, and we cannot obviously read them, but we don't want to send to our customers a recipe how to make scrambled eggs. So that's actually when it comes in. We are using these techniques to check automatically if the summary is talking about a similar thing as the input document. So that was about generating summaries and how to assess the quality. Now I would like to slightly move out and go to the large language model space and basically try to discuss what language model exists. I will not describe all of them. I would maybe say that, as you all probably know, there are like open source models or some paid ones. Here is some list. This is changing basically every day. For example, this Grok, I think it was announced last week by Elon Musk. So this is changing basically every time. And when you have some production jobs or production models that are they are generating NLP predictions, you want to have the best predictions, so you need to evaluate the qualities or the parameters of these models quite often. Here I just wanted to show an example, summaries from these models. We generally found, this was a year ago, so I don't know if it's still the case, but the summaries for the open source models were not great. For example, this is summary from the Versec model, and it's like nonsense. And so this was the list of models. What we used, as it was probably visible from my talk, we use OpenAI for all our use cases. It has some pros and cons. The advantages of OpenAI, I would say, are that the quality of the results is the best, and we can also choose which models we want to use. So if you have something that we need to be super precise, for that we use GPT-4. If we have some use cases for which it doesn't have to be super precise. We can use GPT 3.5 and so on. The other advantage is that we don't need to serve it on our own, maintain it. We are actually like small team. We are only 3 ML engineers, and we don't have power to like deploy model in our own architecture, take care of it, especially as usage of OpenAI is quite cheap and relatively stable. The disadvantages of it are, for example, rate limits. If you want to use OpenAI to generate like quite a lot of predictions, it's not that easy always. I think the base limits for OpenAI are quite low. So if you have, for example, the use cases in production that are using OpenAI, you might struggle with rate limits, and that your pipelines will be in a queue and waiting for space to actually generate those predictions. The other problems are that it's changing basically every day. There are outages, as we saw. There was like one a few hours ago, and these are kind of the cons of OpenAI. So this basically means that we are regularly, every quarter, we sit together, we look at the new models that were launched, we see how we can actually use them, if they have some API, what are the rate limits, what is the performance of the models, what is the quality of, let's say, summaries and other predictions. And we want to do this to basically have the best possible model in production. And currently we are using OpenAI. I would say that next, at least few quarters we will use it, but who knows, maybe in a year we can migrate to some new model. In the end, I would like to share with you a story how we deployed summarization in wild. Optimally, it sounds like an easy thing, right? Let's say that there is a customer. This customer wants you to generate thousands of summaries. They have thousands of documents, and they want those documents to be summarized. So you feed those summaries into your ML pipeline, they got processed, the prompt is created, you feed it into OpenAI, and then you send it to production. Yeah, this is ideal situation. In a real scenario, it doesn't work like that. The speed of OpenAI is quite slow, so you cannot generate, you would like to generate them in parallel. Okay, this doesn't work also, because what happens quite often actually with OpenAI is there are some errors. There is some like minor outage, so some summaries are not processed, so you need to repeat. Sometimes some of the models is not working properly, so you need to switch to a different GPT model. There are those rate limits, as I was saying, so you cannot feed all these 1,000 requests in parallel to GPT because it would crash. So you have to basically feed them there as soon as those rate limits are down and there is some space in the rate limits. And this is even more complicated when there is a new customer and then he comes at the same time and he wants more and more predictions to be generated. So this was about summarization. I would like to just briefly describe our current problems, what we have. Summarization is only one of the services that we have. We are summarizing single documents. We are also summarizing topics, some different entities. We also have a real-time streaming service. This streaming service, it works kind of like ChatGPT when we are communicating with it. You can use it to generate, let's say that you have some long document and you want to generate pain points from this document. It's then streaming these results into Productboard. We also have embedding service that is generating embeddings, and we are using those embeddings for semantic search, for topics, and others. And this is nice, but then let's say how you tell some system to be aware of other initiative, how you tell summarization service that it should wait for some time because there is something more important in the streaming service and some user is waiting for the prediction to be there, while, for example, summaries don't have to be there in 1 second because the user don't mind it much. So this is, for example, our current challenge that we are working on to basically prepare this box that will be able to, some middleware that will get the requests from all these services and feed them optimally to OpenAI and then into Productboard. So that was it from me. Here I have a summary generated by GPT. I just pasted the talk into GPT. So I've discussed summarization techniques using the GPT model, how to actually evaluate the quality of summaries, what are other models that we can use, and what are their disadvantages and advantages, and how we actually deployed it into production. That was it from me. Thank you for your attention. And I just want to tell you that if, for example, the problem that I was describing like 2 minutes ago is something that you would like help us to solve, we are hiring. So let us know, and we are looking forward to hear you. Thank you. I think now is the time for questions. Yeah. Do you have your own workforce to evaluate summaries when doing the supervised evaluation, or do you outsource? If you outsource, what do you use and how satisfied are you with the provider? Yeah, unfortunately, we used our own workforce. We asked help our product managers, our support team, and it's not that we would be validating like this tens of thousands of summaries, so we are able to manage it on our own. I will go to the next one. Which GPT model version are you using? Did you do some cost-benefit analysis? We are using the GPT 3.5. There are multiple variants of the when it was launched, and I'm not sure which one it is exactly. But for majority of our initiatives, we use this one. We have semantic search in production that is basically able to you write some input, and it's able to find you a feedback that is similar to the input that you write. And for that, we actually use GPT-4 because it's helped us to really get us the best. Like we use embeddings model to generate embeddings, but when you have those embeddings to search in those embeddings, we use GPT-4 because it helps us to get the best results. I hope it's responding to the question, but if you have additional question to that.
I think they're like platform well, you're offended because
Yeah, I will just repeat the question. If we try to compare basically GPT-4 with the GPT 3.5, we were comparing it. The performance was better, but for example, in the case for summaries, the price is, I'm not sure now because I think the price changed on Tuesday, but it was like 20 times more expensive to use GPT-4 than GPT 3.5, something like that. And so like it wasn't that the predictions would be like 20 times better or something like that. So we were completely fine with the current version. Do you think in a day-to-day work, people would also benefit from enhanced prompting? I mean, providing context, concrete request. I'm not sure if I'm the right one to respond to the question, but I think that obviously, if we would be, yeah, if we would say why we want some things to happen, then probably yes. Follow-up question, would people benefit from introducing a quality metric like a prompt to your colleague does not satisfy enhanced prompt criteria, try rephrasing, like Grammarly for quality, or it would be too much or well? Yes. For which languages are we providing the solution? So basically, majority of customers that use Productboard, they use it in English, but we have customers that use it only in French, Russian, maybe in Czech also, I think. And for this solution that we have, it works in all languages. Majority of these use cases work in all languages. However, the prediction that we generate is always in English. So let's say that you have some text that you want to be summarized. Let's say it's in French. We generate a summary in English. So majority of it, it's in English. We have some initiatives in which we don't support other languages. For example, it was, if I'm not sure, it was in sentiment analysis, for example, for which we use some pre-trained model that it's in English. OpenAI models are dominant in the field due to their brand recognition and implementation in Asia. Is there any risk of relying on a single model provider? Yes. Do different models from different companies have advantages for certain use cases? Like to the first question, definitely there is. It was visible, for example, in this outage that was happening a few hours ago. Like we had no backup, and like if this outage would take 2 days, yeah, we are kind of in problems because we don't have a backup. So it is a risk, and we have in mind a way how to solve it, but it wasn't a priority for us, and we think that this we are like for OpenAI, I would say we are quite a small customer. We are not like, I don't know, like Notion, for example, it might be using quite a lot. So I think that it would be quite a big problem for OpenAI. So I don't think that something is like, there's like big probability to happen, but definitely we have it in mind, and we are trying to think about it. About the second question, I would say yes. It can be not only about models from different companies, I would say also about these open source models. When you have some model that is trained, for example, to summarize conversations, it can perform in a similar way as OpenAI for summarization of conversations. Like you cannot use this model to generate summaries for, I don't know, some other things or to any other domain. But if you use it for conversations, the results are good. So definitely some other models have advantages for some specific use cases. Have you tried to improve the prompt using meta prompting? For instance, you have a summary score, which you are trying to optimize, and you can include it together with a prompt, an iterative prompt, the model converge to better prompt. No, it's a good question. We haven't tried it, but yeah, it's a good question. I don't know how much time do we have. Yeah. Cool. How do you manage to process data from your customers in a private and safe way, considering third-party large language models? So that was one of the main problems that our customers had with large language models. They were not happy as, for example, OpenAI had some data leaks and so on. What will happen to their data if OpenAI is not training based on their data? So currently, we are telling those customers what OpenAI basically is telling publicly, that they are not training their model using the data that we use through the API. So we are telling this to the customers. And yeah, I hope that it's basically a response to the question. When we have some pipelines that, for example, we have thousands of customers, we are always processing data from our customers in a different environment, so we don't mix data of our customers. How do you evaluate the quality of document embeddings? Good question. We are not doing it. And yeah, we are not doing it. I would say the approaches could be, some of what I was mentioning would be applicable, but yeah, we are not evaluating it, and we are not doing it. Maybe time for last question. Cool. If paying for service is not an option, what free LLM would you use for text summarization? I would say it depends. It depends on the specific use case. If I would need to summarize books, or if I would need to summarize conversations, I would use, I don't now recall the name. I think I have some of the on my slides, but I would use some pre-trained open source model. If I would want to have this model to be general as OpenAI, I'm not sure, and I don't have a recommendation in this field. Cool. That's it for me. Thank you.